I want to take you back a little bit. Your days with the Oilers, you played for the Oilers in 87 and 88. Jerry Glanville was your coach. Give me your best Glanville story. I want to hear some stuff from the man in black.
Oh, man, it's crazy. I remember one time, we had so many different receivers, smaller guys. One in particular was a highlight reel, Ernest Givens. And Ernest got hurt in practice. And Ernest had an affinity for the dramatic, right? And he's going out for a pass, and he would contort his body in all these crazy ways. And you were like, man, that's an ACL, or that's an MCL, that's major, that's big time. And he'd bounce right up like nothing happened. So we got into a habit of just dismissing some of the antics. And one particular occasion, right before a big game, Ernest went up over the middle for an unbelievable catch. And I can't remember if it was Patrick Allen or someone of that ilk that hit him. And we said, that's it, man, it's over with. So it got quiet. Jerry Glanville saunters from the sideline to come and see exactly what the problem. Brad Brown, who was our trainer, had already made it there and kneeled down beside him. It looked like a very dire situation. And it was so quiet that we could actually hear what Coach was saying. And when Jerry came over, his whistle dangling from his neck, his hands both on knees, bent over and just said, "Is she wounded or is she emotionally scarred?" It is one of those deals where it was a classic moment that lightened everybody up, and we saw Ernest begin to chuckle and laugh, And that was kind of an inside joke, but it was one of those things that Jerry had an affinity for, being able to take a moment, lighten it up if he needed to, or do the opposite, cause a fight if he needed to. He had henchmen on the team that would do that, and I was unfortunately one of them, and Eugene Seals and other guys that would step up and start mayhem when we needed a burst. So it was fun times. There was post Love You Blue, but we had our own culture. We had so many talented players. Mike Rozier, if you go back, and Ray Childress, Jones. We had, just go down the litany of all the players that we had. Lorenzo White, Alonzo Highsmith, Haywood Jeffries. It just goes on, and there was no shortage of unbelievably skilled and talented players on that team. Should have achieved more.
Let me ask you, you played with Joe Montana, considered one of the best ever. Peyton Manning, we're seeing the end come for him. Tom Brady continues to do what he's doing. Who do you feel like is the best quarterback that you've seen and along with played with?
Well, that's a loaded question for me, and you have to put an asterisk by my comment. I mean, having been in the huddle and caught passes from Joe Montana and seeing how he's operated, he's like a surgeon in shoulder pads. And yes, he did have complementary parts that tended to stay together a long time, but we too were the product of a system, and he never was offended by that term system, by the way. Bill Walsh, the West Coast attack was a systematic attack, but it still required accuracy from your quarterback. People forget the fact that Joe was a point guard on the Notre Dame basketball team. I mean, he had tremendous athleticism. I've seen him slam dunk a basketball, from many occasions, coming off practice fields, just in a moment, a whim. Was challenged by Ronnie Lott in one particular case and did a 360 and slammed it. I mean, everybody just, was floored. But it's not a surprise. He was a very, very athletic, lean. He had a kind of affinity for looking like Barry Manilow. That's what we used to always call him, Barry Manilow, because he had that look to him in his early years. But he was a great athlete and just a great spokesman and just a wonderful person.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.